financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is a tough one, domestic violence. You don't want to go there, but Brian Small.
Morning, Ken.
Do you have any domestic violence background in your history that I should know about?
No.
Don't say anything.
Wouldn't hurt a fly.
That was
was
recent
a
show.
setup.
You have the right to remain silent.
No, that
Use
was
it.
another show. It was you have the right to shut up.
Right.
That's it.
Jeffrey Kirshner.
Hi, nice to see you.
Do you have any domestic violence background that we should... This could be like a Senate investigation. I mean, most people that are trying to become members of the cabinet seem to have a background in
The
domestic
truth?
violence.
You can't handle the truth.
My attorney said not to say anything, so I'm not saying anything.
And now Scott Weinberg, the guy who's on the spot on this topic.
Well, I object to the question. Don't ask anybody whether or not they've been involved in domestic violence.
Just never, don't even go there. So how big of the, give me a little background. How big is the problem of domestic violence?
Yeah,
My
so-
perception is it's a big problem.
So, the hard thing to talk about, and we talked about it before, about domestic violence is it is prolific around our country. There's almost 3 million reports of some kind of domestic abuse every single year.
There's only
3 million.
There's only 300 million people.
It's unbelievable.
Well,
how
no, that's 3
prolific.
million reports.
And that's the thing,
That means
So there's more.
it's absolutely
course
more
there's more.
prolific than that.
So whenever you make a report, even in Michigan, there's over 100,000 reports every year. And, as a prosecutor, you have to look at it. Do I believe the complainant? Well, that's usually a very subjective thing. Many times there are no physical injuries. Many times there's no witnesses. It's a he said, she said case. And when there are physical injuries, of course, there's things that the prosecutor can use that can to charge the defendant. But when there's no physical evidence, it's really the perception by a prosecutor, by a city attorney, should I charge the defendant with, pushing or assaulting whoever that is, the man or the woman.
But what happens when they get called in? One of the spouses calls 911. Okay, police come. What happens at that point? Are they going to arrest somebody?
So 75% of the time in our society, it's accusing the man. 25% of the time, it's the woman. You might not like those statistics, but that are the
is what it is.
statistics. And when a police officer comes in, they're in their minds, they're coming in as an emergency. Someone needs to be protected. They don't know who it is yet, and so they're going to separate the parties. The best thing to do, especially if you are being one that's accused, is you don't say anything. That is the time you say, I want to talk to my lawyer. Not after you gave your statement, not after you're sitting in the car, not after you
It's
go to the
probably a
police
hard
department.
thing to do because
Well,
you're totally angry.
You're angry sometimes.
and hyped up.
Alcohol's involved many of the times, so both parties many times have been drinking or doing something that's affecting the way they're thinking.
But
sometimes drugs.
So when you're in that situation, God forbid, isn't that sort of an admission sometimes when police say, come on, tell us what went on here, and you say, I'm not talking to you, I want to talk to my attorney. Aren't you admitting that you did something wrong?
The same rule of effect, just like when anybody has a financial issue, has any type of civil litigation, you always want to say, I want to talk to my attorney first. You don't always know what their intent is.
It's not an admission.
Exactly. You always want to have that advice from your attorney, especially the goal of the police right there is to investigate, to get all the information possible, and then to arrest someone. Most of the time, they're going to arrest someone. They are. Very few times they're going to walk away and let the parties stay together. So because of that, you have to play the odds.
So you have to look at it and you have to, I'm interpreting what you're saying. Most of the time they're going to arrest somebody, so the chances of you talking your way out of it are against you. So if you're
Exactly
going to get
right.
arrested anyway, your best position is to have said nothing because they'll use what you say it's like when you watch on TV. The police ask questions designed to elicit answers to make you incriminate yourself. That's kind of how they're trained. That's
exactly right.
That's what their goal is.
Do you think that people have become so hypersensitive to this issue? Though, I mean, I'm not discounting domestic violence. In fact, it's a very serious issue. But I've got, I was just talking with somebody the other day. There was a child, a 10-year-old child, charged with assault for throwing a red ball, while they were playing dodgeball at another kid's face, because that wasn't part of the game that they were playing, and this child is being charged with a criminal act at age 10. Have we gotten so far on the pendulum that everything is just absolutely
was
ridiculous?
it a red ball or a blue ball?
So I've represented juvenile delinquents that are charged. Juveniles are called delinquents, not defendants, and it's very similar. When you have something going on at school, the teachers are so afraid to take responsibility without calling the principal in or the detective or the security guard that's there and try to handle it. And many times they overcome the dilemma of we shouldn't do anything by calling the police. And that is the problem. The police come in. If you have
Johnny,
legitimate
the 10-year-old
officer,
Johnny needs to know, Johnny, you have the right to remain silent and use it.
that's a really good point. Of course not, but they have a right to ask for their parents. And that's what
they
kids
should
should
do.
always do is, before they talk about any of that, I want to have my parent here.
And the parent should say, I want a lawyer.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's kind of sad that it goes to that extent. What are if you're charged with domestic violence, what is the potential penalty in first offense, second offense, so forth?
Let's say that you were arrested right then. Let's say that you were a male, you were arrested right then, and you're going down to the police department. Most of the time, they're going to hold you for 20 hours before they're going to release you. That is the standard. They can do it earlier, but most of the time, 20 hours, and charge you with the offense. Once you're charged with it, it's a 93-day misdemeanor if there's no injuries. If there's injuries, it can be up to a 1-year misdemeanor. So it can be a felony too, but that's usually
What if you really
have priors.
seriously hurt the other person?
Then it can be a 1 year, or it can be a serious
Assault.
felony. Assault with intent to murder.
You also, if you're charged more than once, is that
Right, so they
higher?
can enhance it. So if it's the second or third time, it can be a year, or it can be up to 5 years.
All right, so it's a big issue. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to explore domestic violence more with Scott Weinberg.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
I love you too. Bye-bye. That was Jerry. Emma just said her first word.
Oh,
Jerry says hello and they'll be over soon.
who's Jerry? Is he a friend of yours?
No. This Jerry. Our Jerry. And this is his wife and their little girl.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP.
Criminal matters are serious. Your freedom, future, and wallet are on the line. Criminal defense attorney Scott Weinberg is a former prosecutor and renowned criminal lawyer. For over 30 years, he's the go-to defender in Michigan to protect your rights. Scott's advice: you have the right to remain silent. Use it. If charged with a crime, call Scott Weinberg today. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. And remember, stay silent.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
All right, we're back. All right, so you mentioned, Scott, on the enforcement. What's this 20-hour rule?
So whenever they're going to arrest you, take it like it's a drunk driver. When they have a drunk driving and they're arresting you, they're going to make sure that you don't have any more alcohol in your system before they release you. On domestic violence, the theory, the policy is you want the parties to calm down. And so they came up with this idea, 20 hours is enough for them to calm down and then charge you. So they're not going to charge you within that amount of time, they're going to release you. If they charge you, they're still going to release you, but now on bond. So many times you'll get on a bond, a $100 bond, or even no bond, but the problem is you also have a no contact order. And we were talking about a recent case where I had a client, they got arrested, the husband got arrested, he actually went to jail for those 20 hours. While he was in jail, the woman, the victim in the case, went to the bank.
Alleged victim.
Alleged, took the credit card, put money on the credit card, took everything in the bank account while he's in jail for 20 hours and wiped out the bank account. Now the difference is, though, she was on the bank account, so she didn't do anything illegal.
So she had the access to the
Exactly.
money. Right.
And part of the issues are when you have someone charged with domestic violence, it's usually the couple that are together that have many times no other problems before that, or if they've had problems, they haven't had a family law attorney, they haven't had anybody, they haven't been in counseling yet. So as a defense attorney, many times what we want to do is we want to make sure that both are okay. One has to go home, one can't go home. So the bond condition is you can't have contact with their spouse. Well, many times these spouses want to get back together. They want to have contact. So when they're released, one of the things to do is call an attorney, and we can try to help at least facilitate this bond condition where you can have some kind of contact, or you can actually deal with the issues if you're going to get a divorce or something, get to the right counsel. And that's real important too.
Tough situation. So you get convicted. Are there any kind of deferral statutes? Is this going to end up becoming... You got to get rid of the case. You got to get it resolved. You don't want to create a record against yourself.
Because when what's the biggest thing that happens when you go try to get a job? They run your record now. So anybody, and we talked about that on other shows, any employer now is going to run your driving record and they're going to run your criminal record, your CCH. So if you have a domestic violence on your criminal record,
you're done.
It's so hard to get a job now anyways, let alone when you got that. So they came up with these deferral statutes that mandatorily will make you go to counseling, that'll make you go to anger management, that will allow you to earn the right to keep that conviction off your record. The difference is you only allowed it once. So for the habitual offender that's doing it all the time, he's not eligible to be able to have that deferral. It's called 769.4A. And the important part about it is everybody has to agree. The prosecutor has to agree, and the complainant, the victim, has to agree too. So if you get a complainant who doesn't agree, you're not eligible for it.
Question. I'm going back to my early days of marriage. And I remember getting angry and kicking a hole in the door. Not any violence at my wife.
Well, that could be violent with your wife.
But I was angry, and it was a husband-wife fight, young married couple, and I smashed a hole in the door with my foot. If she would have called 911 in today's environment, would I be arrested for domestic violence? For injuring the door?
So you're allowed to damage your own property. So you're not going to be charged with malicious destruction of property. It's more the context of what happened. So you're arguing, both of you together, you're screaming at each other, there might be threats with each other. You're not committing domestic violence because you break some other piece of your property. But let's say you take a cup and you throw it at her, or you threaten her with it. You know, we can have domestic violence that is claimed to be domestic violence in our houses, but many times it's how you describe it to the police. So if you describe it to the police as the complainant in a case that he didn't touch me, he didn't threaten me, but he was really mad and he kicked the door, they're probably not going to charge you with domestic violence. If they claim that you were trying to kick her and you missed her and you hit the door, believe me, you're going to be going to jail.
Well, what if the victim in this case, man or woman, is so afraid of the violence. They're afraid of not kicking the door but being kicked themselves. That their partner, whoever it is just so enraged and so out of control that they are fearful for their health or safety.
They should move out.
Well, they should, but that can be domestic violence where you put someone in fear of an immediate battery, right? That's assault. Many times what happens is if they do split up the parties and no one's charged, they'll counsel them to file a personal protection order so that that person has to be removed from the house.
And you can do that just by going down to the county courthouse
down to the
and
prosecutor's
filling it
office.
out.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's do a case study. I'm going to introduce the parties, then we'll take a break and develop it. Jerry and Nancy, married, 3 children. Their marriage is stressed due to financial issues. They're buried in credit card debt. They're behind on the house payment, foreclosures on the horizon. Jerry blames Nancy's spending. He's constantly screaming at Nancy about her spending and blaming her for the financial difficulties and the credit card debt. Nancy blames Jerry's commitment to sports, his buddies, and he doesn't work hard enough. If you weren't playing baseball all the time and doing fantasy football and you got your butt off the couch and you went and got a better job, we wouldn't have these financial problems. This is the back and forth between these two constantly. A fight erupts. Nancy throws Jerry's baseball glove at him, of course, because she's mad about the baseball. Jerry shoves her against the door. She's mad. She calls 911. What happens?
Well, so one, that is an assault. Number one, Domestic Violence Day.
What about the
Super Bowl
Which
Sunday.
one's an assault?
Super Bowl
What
Sunday.
about the glove?
So throwing
Aren't
it
they
at
both
the
aren't they both an assault?
Well, clearly pushing the wife against the wall is going to be considered an assault. Throwing anything against at each other is also considered an assault. Many
What if
times,
she threw the glove at me and I ducked and it hit the door?
still an assault.
Okay.
It's putting someone in fear of immediate battery, right? If you go up to someone, you pretend you're going to hit them, that's still an assault.
Take a break. We're going to play it through as to what happens with Nancy and Jerry. We'll be back after the break.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
Time for announcements. Want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 a.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Free $100 Visa gift card, Law and Reality golf hat, and a copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Just go to the website, lawandreality.com, pop in your email address, and you're entered into the contest. We've got seminars coming up. On Wednesday, October 16th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. It's not about ghosts and goblins. It's about having an estate plan. Obviously, this is in reference to Halloween. But your whole point is, an estate plan is an important thing for every family to have. We're going to go through the basic estate plan components, how you go about avoiding probate, and also how you handle probate if you find yourself in that situation anyway. We'll talk about the 3 biggest mistakes people make in estate planning. Attendees get a free $300 gold certificate off the cost of any estate plan. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. On Wednesday, November 6th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., we have a seminar, Learn the Switch from Debt to Savings. This is a debt elimination seminar. We're going to go through all the processes we use to eliminate debt so you can start saving money for your future and for retirement. The goal is, by eliminating the debt, you then are able to take that excess cash that you were paying to your creditors and start saving some of it so that you don't get into debt in the future and so that you start accumulating savings for retirement. We'll have a couple special segments. Jeff Linden's going to talk about how to resolve tax issues. Scott Weinberg will do a segment on how to handle a traffic ticket. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Remember, you can always come into the firm for a free consultation. Debt issues with Brian, tax issues with Jeff, estate planning issues with Brian, business law issues with myself, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner, criminal issues with Scott Weinberg. Just go to the website. There's always a link there that you can click to request a free consult, or just call anytime, 888-235-HELP. Also, take a look at our website. There's 4 great reports there that are free. All you have to do is click the button and they'll be emailed directly to you. The newest one is Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions, written by yours truly. Also, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Simasko. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Simasko Law, Michigan Criminal Lawyers, PLC, and Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Criminal matters are serious. Your freedom, future, and wallet are on the line. Criminal defense attorney Scott Weinberg is a former prosecutor and renowned criminal lawyer. For over 30 years, he's the go-to defender in Michigan to protect your rights. Scott's advice: you have the right to remain silent. Use it. If charged with a crime, call Scott Weinberg today, 888-235-HELP, 888-235-HELP. And remember, stay silent.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. I want to pick up where she called 911. How many cars are coming with blue and red lights to the house?
You know, it's an interesting thing. It's how quick do those cars come? You know, sometimes you live in jurisdictions, they might not come for an hour. Sometimes, well, and you have 2 people fighting, both many times have been drinking or doing something, and there's a lot of escalation unless the police get there like that. You get a good police force, they're going to get there within 5 to 10 minutes. They're going to get there. And once they get there, their first thing is they're going to separate the parties, right? So they get the disclosure
That's got
from
to
both
be a
people.
stressful moment for the police officer because he doesn't know how
You don't know if
ramped up.
anybody's got guns in the house. You
Yeah.
don't know if there's someone around the property that were their buddies.
So you don't just, do they just walk up and knock on the door, or do they become?
They do. Many times they'll just knock up, walk up on the door.
That would be scary.
It is. I mean, it's
'Cause
scary.
you don't know what's behind that door.
It's scary to be a cop.
Yeah.
You know, people talk about the police. Let me tell you something. Most of the police I know, they're good. They're good people. Sometimes they're not, just like in any other profession. But it's a tough job. Going there, they are actually trying to keep the peace. Now, many times the police don't do the right thing, way too aggressive, and they commit, like we talked about before, some kind of police brutality. That happens all the time too. But generally speaking, they're there to investigate.
Okay.
So they separate the parties. Someone is most of the time going to be arrested. So when they're arrested, that is the issue in terms of.
All right, so let's say they're arresting Jerry.
Right.
Do they put handcuffs on him and walk him out?
Yes.
They can't just escort him?
They're
They
going
actually-
to,
cuff
if they're
him
arresting you,
in front of all the neighbors.
all the neighbors, open. It depends on the police. So if you have a police
Hands
officer
behind your back.
going to sit in the car. Just think about it. You're being arrested. Now the police have to make sure that they are safe when they're taking
Will they ever arrest?
custody of
do
the
they
body.
sometimes arrest both? She threw the glove.
It's pretty rare. They're going to choose who's going to be arrested. The only time they're going to arrest both is if, let's say that happens and they're going to arrest the guy and she absolutely refuses to go forward, and so she starts assaulting the police, which that happens all the time. So now the alleged victim is so mad that they're going to take away the other party. The police would say they're interfering with this.
So
arrest.
Jerry's going off. The kids are there crying. There's 3 kids.
Yeah.
He shoved her. She threw the baseball mitt. He now goes to jail. He's handcuffed in the police car until he gets out of the police car. I mean, I've
They're
never
arresting
been
him,
arrested.
so-
Okay.
They're arresting him, handcuffed,
And then they fingerprint him and they do all this stuff.
everything like that, going back to the station. And then when they're arraigned, the judge, 9 times out of 10, will say, and you can't go back home. So now he's got to find a place to live, or she has to find a place to live. So, and if they don't comply with what the judge wants, that's a bond violation. Even if the case ends up getting dismissed, they can end up back in jail based on the fact that they had contact with the complainant.
All right. We got a couple minutes left. What should Jerry do? When should he call you, and why does he need you?
Well, the first thing is I'd
Now,
say
you or an attorney. I'm not. This isn't a commercial for you. This is just what should Jerry do? Why does he need an attorney? When does he need to get a hold of you?
the first thing you should do whenever you are in that combative situation, you walk away. I don't care what it is. When you're with your mother, your sister, your brother, you walk away, because the chances are it's not going to end well. It's not 40 years ago where you could actually get in a fight and the police wouldn't arrest you. Now someone's going to be arrested. First thing is walk away from that fight. If you don't walk away and now you're arrested, you cannot talk to the police. You're not going to talk your way out of it. You're going to be arrested. They're going to use everything you say against you. You want to call the police, call the lawyer either from the scene or back at the station. Once you're released, absolutely do not try to have contact with the complainant. Call an attorney first so you can get all your rights protected.
And because you want to get to that, if you're going to have to plead, you're going to want to get to that deferral statute, obviously.
If you want to plead, but you might
Or
be
you want to defend it.
Exactly. It might be a made-up case.
All right, so summary, number one, if the mitt gets thrown at you, turn around and walk away.
Turn around and walk away.
Do not shove the door. Do not kick the door, going back to me 30 years ago or 35 years ago. You got to walk away and de-escalate. If it doesn't happen and you get into that mode, you need to get a lawyer and you got to keep your mouth shut.
Exactly.
It's a tough, tough situation.
It is
You
so
don't want
easy.
it to happen, but it's so. Think about how it could happen to anyone if you let it get out of hand. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.